Right then guys, I am at the Viking Line ferry terminal in Helsinki, and I'm waiting for the ferry to take me back to Tallinn. It's going to be the Viking Line Express, or XPRS as they've shortened it to, and it's not in yet. I'm going to check in, and then when I get on board I'll show you around. Yeah, so you got to be a bit careful here because Viking Line actually uses the terminal across the city called Skatteton's terminal, whereas Eckero Lines, who I came over with, use Lansi Terminali Terminal 2, which is in a completely different part of the city and a good 45 minutes away, I reckon, using public transport. But you can get to both ports quite easily by using the Helsinki tram system. And it doesn't look much from the outside, does it? But once you're inside, it's a really big and bright space. As you can see, it's very red and white to go with the Viking Line brand, obviously. And there are the usual check-in desks and automated machines, ticket office, information desk and departure boards. And I paid €16 for my foot passenger sailing this evening, which I thought was pretty good. It was actually €3 cheaper than the Eckero Line ferry I'd come over on earlier in the day. Once I got my ticket, I headed up the escalator towards Gate 2, which would be our point of departure this evening. Just round this corner are the automatic barriers, then there's a small but comfortable waiting room. And now this was pretty handy, another escalator taking foot passengers up to the gangway, where by now our ship had arrived. The MS Viking XPRS cost €130 million to build and began service on this route back in 2008. It could carry up to 2,500 passengers and 240 cars, and the service speed of this vessel is about 25 knots, and that means it can complete the journey in about 2.5 hours. Now, you can already get an idea of the size of the ship, can't you, as we board our vessel. It's pretty big, I would say. I normally head straight out onto deck to see the boat leave port, but I was really hungry by this point, so breaking with tradition, I thought I'd head for the Blue Deli restaurant first on deck 8 and get something to eat. And I must say, the food was absolutely fantastic. There was lots of choice, and you basically just helped yourself to whatever you wanted, and put it all on a big plate, and then you paid the money according to the weight of the food on the plate. I only paid about €15 for all this. So after that I headed all the way up to deck 10 to try and walk the food off and check on the weather, because it's been pretty miserable for most of the day, to be honest. And after going through the automatic doors up here, you have this bar area similar to the Eckero Line ship I was on earlier. There is lots of outside seating here, and I would imagine this whole bar area would be properly open in the summer when the weather's nicer and obviously the ship is a lot busier. We were well underway at this point, heading out past the myriad of fascinating islets just offshore. And it's well worth sailing out of here in the daylight hours so that you can enjoy this part of the journey. The scenery, even on a dull day like this, is simply breathtaking. I ended up at the stern of the boat, and it was pretty windy at this point, so you couldn't really hear what I was saying, but I just simply could not miss this absolute highlight of the trip as we navigated through the Megastar Strait between the pretty islands of Suomenlinna and Vallisari. I know they've probably done this thousands of times, but look how tight it is to get through this gap. Suomenlinna, by the way, is the one on the left just over my shoulder there. It's actually a UNESCO listed World Heritage Site. It's got an 18th century sea fortress, loads of museums. It's even got its own brewery. You can get there by ferry from Helsinki if you're ever out this way. Right, so after watching that spectacular sail through the islands, I dropped down onto the sun deck on deck 8, which also has plenty of seating, by the way. But again, the outside bar here was closed, but I can imagine in the summer, in normal times, there would be live entertainment on this small stage here. Now, I had a peer inside at the buffet restaurant, and it was still very quiet in there, wasn't it? It's good to see the recycling points here in front of this odd thing with the door advertising gin. I'm not sure what this was, to be honest. If you've got any idea, please let me know. As we look back towards Finland, note that although it was built in Finland, this ship actually sails under the Estonian flag. But it didn't always. The vessel was reflagged in 2014, basically to save money, as wages and social costs in Estonia are around 40% lower than Finland. It was pretty cold on deck, so I went back inside and ended up in Club X, which was on deck 7. Now, ordinarily there would be shows on the stage here, but not today, unfortunately. Again, the bar was closed, and people, I think, were just using the area to relax in. The chairs here were nice and comfortable. Now, right next door to that was the music pub Viking Inn, and that was a bit more lively. There was a chap in here, an English guy actually, performing well-known classics on the acoustic guitar to a small but appreciative audience. It was probably about right, really, for this evening's sailing, I would say. And the bar was open, which was a plus point. I would be heading back here after I'd taken you guys on a brief tour of some of the other ship's features. So, through the corridor of fruit machines, you end up pretty much in the middle of the ship. And it's surprising how much quieter it is here, only a few metres away from the pub area. There's plenty of information on the walls, including deck plans, so you can get your bearings, and I love these pictures of the old Viking Line ferries that adorn the stairwells. Nice touches, really. Still on deck 7, there's a great view here looking out onto the sea, although the arcade games do seem a little bit of a strange placement. Anyway, I headed towards the information desk and past more gambling machines and the wall of the huge shopping world on my left. Well, here was Shopping World, and note the shopping trolleys outside again, which says to me this is another massive shop on a ferry. Well, I didn't go in this time. Instead, I headed back up to deck 8 as there was still some of the ship to explore. I went back past the Blue Deli restaurant and along this side of the vessel, past the appealing Robert's coffee shop, to the wine and dine casual and buffet area. As I'd already eaten, this was one step too far for me, I'm afraid, so I decided to retire gracefully back to the Vikings pub, where I enjoyed a lovely glass of wine whilst listening to the acoustic music guy bashing out well-known covers such as Brown Eyed Girl and Layla.
Don't bother because it puts me off. Hey, where did we go? Days when the rains came.
Well, my journey was nearly over, so I decided to head out onto deck for one last time to catch the bright lights of the Estonian capital Tallinn. This was a really memorable approach to a beautiful city. Well guys, we are just coming into Tallinn, and I've got to say this was a great boat, head and shoulders above the previous boat I was on going out to Helsinki earlier on today. In fact, it's up there with the Steno Estrid. Not quite sure it's as good, maybe it is. What do you think? Please leave me a comment below. I'll be interested to hear your thoughts, but yeah, in my opinion this was a great boat and had everything on it, and price wise as well, it's pretty good, wasn't it? So I'm going to hopefully get through customs and passport control once again on this journey, and get back to the hotel room. Thank you very much for watching, hope you've enjoyed it, and I will see you again soon. Cheers for now.